The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode number 390 on deck here. And I was looking through some of the historical stats on this night in 2019. We had Candice joining us as we were getting ready to kick off Capital City Carnage, and we had Kristi and Devon on with some news about Derby promotion. So here we are 3 years later. We get to look into the time capsule a little bit as we get ready for that. This is the go home episode for Capital City Carnage. I have some of the entry information, and just about everything is full, which is really exciting. The banquet was this weekend. We've got some new stuff coming down the line for Kristi Germain. Scott Brown, he's got a birthday today, so happy birthday to him. It's been a wild couple days here as we cruise towards the events in Topeka and getting back there for Capital City Carnage. Candice is joining us on the line for the first half of this. We'll look at Capital City Carnage. We're also going to dive in a little bit to what Domination has planned for this year. But first, right off the top, real quick, the banquet itself. There was lots of stuff trading hands this weekend.
Yeah, going in, I had to work. I wasn't able to make it. But going into it, it seemed to be a big topic on the Northeast page and so on. And talked with Brett a little bit. And I think he said there was 125 or 150 dinners, and he figured around 1,000 people. So a lot of stuff being exchanged and sold and traded and all that good stuff. I think it's it's only going to grow again. This is the second year Brett has had one again. He took a year or two off. Last year he just kind of had an indoor one. It's one of the properties he owns down in Owego. So Tabby was in Tabby, and I think Mel is what I read. Kind of did all the planning, all the legwork on this. So hats off to them. Great job. Yeah, there was some pretty nice stuff moved down there. So great job to those guys, and hopefully it continues getting bigger. And it was a little bit of a challenge there for everybody gathering on the heels of the news with Aaron Terpster's untimely passing. The gullies hit real hard once again, so I saw there's some benefits and some options and opportunities to help the family, to help Taylor. She's with the family over on Eminence Road. There's some more information that you can find on the page. Absolutely tragic. The situation there. The gullies have been through. They have been through a lot. I think that's kind of an understatement. Yeah. If any of you guys out there, believe in the power of prayer, the gullies could really use some. If you're not into praying, just think about them a little bit. Send some love. Just terrible. Aaron and Taylor had just bought a home, so it was definitely, just a terrible, terrible accident. Our thoughts and prayers were them. Hopefully things start getting better.
Hopefully so. Candice Jo is joining us on the line. She's getting ready to head out to Capital City Carnage here the next couple days to help start setting the table as the Derby season starts kicking into an even higher gear. Smash It starting to get ready to start 2022. Candice, how's all the planning and everything going? Does this thing run itself?
I'm kind of at the end of it now, so going well. Carnage is always a little bit easier than Blizzard Bash. It's not easy by any means. For the fact of leaving tomorrow, it is what it is now.
Right. Tell me a little bit about the return of Capital City Carnage and the dialogue about it and getting back to it. In the fall we had Blizzard Bash 2.0, where we blended a bunch of stuff together, and now here we are, a really, really short calendar later, getting ready to get back on track with how the schedule is supposed to be opening in March with Capital City Carnage.
Right. I know. I was just thinking that I was just in Topeka, and here we are going back again. But we waited so long to get there that it seemed like forever, and now it's here again. I'm pretty excited to get back in for Carnage. It's usually one of my favorite shows, just because it's a demolition derby on steroids. It's not your team event. It's all for one. It's singles, and so I've always kind of liked the aspect of Capital City Carnage. Not that I don't like Blizzard Bash. I mean, of course, that's the best derby out there. But as far as Carnage, it feels like there's bigger hits, and we have a lot of new drivers this year, which is going to be kind of different, and I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to bring to the table.
And it's a little bit different rule set too, with the way things are put together. There's a limited weld, which we're used to. A limited weld is it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek limited weld, but the street stock weld is a little bit different. That's somewhat new in terms of the headline division at Capital City Carnage.
Yeah, I started street stock in Domination a couple of years ago, and it has kicked off like crazy here in Northwest Iowa. So I told Tim for Blizzard Bash, let's bring it, let's see what it does, and I guess we did it at Carnage too. And at first he didn't really know what to think, because it's not a class that he's familiar with, and bringing something new to the table sometimes is a little scary. But I mean, that class is stacked. It's pretty much a full class, and like I said, everybody that runs the class loves it. Limited weld is kind of like mods in a sense. Some people love it, others just do it because it's a headliner class. But if they can kind of knock down to this street stock, I think it's gonna take away.
The street stock weld class, 57 out of 60 at this point. Limited weld, 49 out of 60. So it's going to be busy. Both of those programs are going to be doing heats and features with consolations set for the twin wheel program. Weld compacts, 29 out of 30. Front wheel drive hobo stock, 30 out of 30. Two-man extreme, 30 out of 30. Hobo minivan, 30 out of 30. Full-size mod and youth front wheel drive hobo stock, 29 out of 30 for both of those. So, I mean, you're looking at what, maybe around 20 open spots total.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For the balance of the event. Go ahead.
Nope, no, you're good. Actually, our mod class is full, and I have a waiting list of people that might even just bring a car down because someone doesn't show up, which is great because, the mods are always fun to watch. I'm pretty sure our youth class is full. In fact, I know it is, and we run.
Perfect.
Those are our domination rules as well. We run that youth class all summer long, and holy smokes, you just wait for it because those kids are fearless.
They don't know what's going to hurt.
No.
They've got no bad habits yet.
Yeah, they're still young, and they bend more than the car does, so they aren't going to be sore afterwards.
The problem is when their dads get out and they're like, holy shit, that was crazy.
Oh, yeah, Bright Rally.
We've heard plenty of parents say never again. Never again.
Oh, goodness.
Tommy Stark drove with somebody in one of those side-by-side classes, and he said the same thing. He's like, I can hit, but this is crazy.
Yeah. You know what I think it is, you're just sitting there on the passenger side and you have no control. So I think you're tensed up more, holding on, saying, holy, this is going to hurt. And you're not like relaxed, or you're not into the moment. You know what I mean? You're just kind of holding on with oh boy, this is, we're going way too fast. But it is definitely funny to hear the riders get out and hear their comment, and the kids are all just smiling, and you never see a kid say they're sore after that heat. So it's awesome to watch, and I mean it's awesome to see the kids, and I mean, who can you imagine what it's like driving into the arena? You go from dark into all those lights in front of 5,000-6,000 people. It's just amazing. For these kids to experience something like that.
I know what it's like to walk in there when there's nobody around.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, well, years ago, remember, we did a couple of our intros from the floor, and then we went up to the booth, and it was just crazy being down there for that. I mean, it's and then to actually get to go out in there and run, and it's pretty wild. All
of the hobo rules were basically adopted without any changes from your schedule as well, right? The hobo stock that started a couple of years ago at Capital City Carnage, but that was adopted from the Domination schedule as well.
Yes.
So that is essentially just a pure stock, not so much to call it a wire class, but it's certainly a far cry from what we're accustomed to in the extreme builds that usually are inside Land and Arena at the Stormont Vale Event Center.
Right. I mean, I do take pride in making sure that obviously the safety things are done in the car. So, you have to have a cage and, a halo, and you have to obviously move your battery, your gas tank, all of that kind of stuff. But, I mean, there's a few things that over the course of the years we've allowed in just to make it easier because, as we know, it's harder and harder to find these cars and or the parts. And, so we do allow the aftermarket steering if they want to, a slider drive shaft, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, as far as the build, the frame, the body, that kind of stuff, it's pretty much stock.
Gotcha. It reminds me a lot of the Chain and Go classes at Winter Slam.
Yeah. Yep.
You're allowed to do.
Yeah, it's probably pretty close to that. I mean, you can change the motor, you can run headers, you can do that kind of stuff. You can put a decent bumper on it, but especially in the front wheel drive hobo, we try to say, if you spend more than 3 days on this, you're overbuilt. We know that they're putting more than 3 days in it, especially heading out to Topeka. But for the most part, if you're spending a lot of time on it, you've probably put too much into it.
Remember when Jake Sherman was here and he told us he can build aluminum in 6 hours?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe him. He had those things figured out, man. He was very successful with them. Very successful.
They're putting together a dream heat.
Oh my gosh, yes. That? Yeah, that's all so awesome.
That's very cool.
So awesome. I think a couple of years ago didn't Jake do something himself for a young man that
he's got a fellow that lives near him that will likely never drive in a demolition derby had Jake not put this together, and I don't want to go so far as to say that it wasn't a WWE derby where everything was scripted, but the fellow at least got the experience to drive in a demolition derby, and it was kind of in the vein of a Make-A-Wish type thing.
Yes.
And they're putting that together. Road Rage Entertainment is putting that together, and they're looking for all sorts of different avenues and interests. They're looking for kids that are going to be fighting some challenges through the course of their life that might be interested in riding along. I don't think that they're going to be driving or anything. You want to have safe drivers that know what they're doing, and it's just so cool.
Yeah.
It was really, really neat to see that get some legs and have some longevity, because that's, I don't really ever remember coming across anybody that was asking for demolition derby style Make-A-Wishes in this sense. It is really neat.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we almost take it for granted, that kids are, if they want to, they'll be able to get into this sort of thing. And unfortunately, I don't think about, I haven't thought about kids that don't get the chance or, for whatever reason can't. I mean, it's really great that, Jake, and I'm sure Robin was a part of it as well, came up with it. The kids are going to have a ball. Be really neat to see. As far as drivers being safe, I think, knowing the crew that hangs out with Sherman, we should probably put blocks under all the gas pedals, but, just to be safe, I mean, we should probably limit, maybe take all but 2 spark plug wires off, something along those lines. There's some guys that like to hit pretty hard over in that crew. So, but no, it's definitely a great thing to see. And, it's just and I've said it a million times, it's another example of the Derby family stepping up. Mm-hmm. We take care of each other pretty well. So it's another high point for Demolition Derby, I feel.
Candice, were you able to get your Derby banquet in this year, or was that limited because of the COVID gathering stuff?
No, I had it. We had it about a month ago. Did it basically invite only for the guys that were in the top of the points, and then we opened it up afterwards. For everybody who supported Domination Motorsports to come on out and have some drinks and stuff. And it was a good time, and, it's just it took a little bit to get it in, because of everything else going on, but we got her in, and everybody got awarded and had a good time.
So was it that kind of setting that was needed to convince Tim and Smash It to put the minivans on the card at Capital City Carnage?
I think I just lost you.
I think we're still here. I don't know. I can hear you fine.
All I heard was Smash It and minivan.
Oh, I said, was it was it a party setting like that was required to get Smash It to put the minivans on the card at Capital City Carnage?
So I really think when Tim's phone rings and he sees my name come across the phone, he probably rolls his eyes every time, thinking, "What does she think she's going to do now?" Because we were kind of thinking, with all of those cars and so much to see and whatnot, and then we went to Carnage, and it just felt like we didn't have enough classes. And I said, "What if we brought him minivans?" And right away, he pretty much shot me down because, again, it was a crazy idea coming from Candice. And I said, "I promise you, it will fill." And he's like, "I don't know, And I said, "I promise you, it will fill." And sure enough, it filled, and it's going to bring a whole new aspect to Topeka, Kansas.
If I won a lottery, I would ship Chuck Bowman out there with a van.
Yep.
In a heartbeat.
Yep. Wouldn't even think twice.
That would be awesome. Imagine Chuck inside that building, running from one end to the other, wide open.
I fully would expect him to land in the stands.
Yes,
somehow.
I'd put him in like an Astro van or something that's going to last a little while.
I think he would do just fine in a Caravan. Just
a
regular
absolutely.
Old Dodge Caravan. Just let him
knock
go.
the windows out there, paint the numbers at the door, and go.
Let him go. Let him Ron McClung it and go wreck it. He would have a ball with that.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Guy Raymond would be another one that would probably do well. He'd probably
he'd do well, but he wouldn't put the show on like Chuck would.
He would make the price of a Toyota Sienna van go up if he made the trip out there. I'm really looking forward to the minivans just to see what that does, because everything just amps up a little bit more, like you were talking about when you pull through. Whether you're sitting in the stands and walking about, you can feel the energy inside the arena.
Yep.
Or you're pulling through that tunnel and everything. You can go in with every plan that you want, but you go through there and you pull onto the track and it's just people all the way around you, and the lights and the pageantry and the pomp and the noise. You're going to get amped up, and everybody's going to drive just a little bit harder than they might want to. And
don't forget, the track out there is, once that gets, dried, it's like running on asphalt.
Once it gets run in, right?
We've seen them out there smoking tires on that track. So that track is a fast track. So, it's like you said, it's going to be, and if they run vans out there, like we run vans, or people back here run vans, it's going to be pretty intense.
I am very much looking forward to it. What we're talking about right now is Capital City Carnage, which is going to be in Topeka, Kansas, Stormont Vale Event Center. It's going to be streamed live on Derby Nation. Limited weld, street stock weld, both paying $10,000 to win. Weld compacts, 2-man extreme class, front-wheel drive hobos, front-wheel drive minivan hobo, front-wheel drive youth hobo, 2,500 win, paying the top 4. March 3rd is the heat draws for limited weld and the street stock class. That's at 7 o'clock. And then March 4th is the opening round of action, limited weld and street stock weld heats, front-wheel drive hobo stock on Friday night. Saturday is the twin bill, limited weld and street stock weld consolations, the front-wheel drive youth and the weld compacts at 10 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock, 2-man extreme front-wheel drive van hobo stocks, limited weld feature, and the street stock weld feature. Again, that's March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Online for details, capitalcitycarnage.com. So, now, Candice has to put her other hat on now because Domination's got a busy season lined up, right? How busy is this compared to where things have been?
We keep our shows, pretty much the same year after year. I've had a couple inquire new ones for this year. They're still in the planning process, so I've kind of been holding off releasing my schedule just to kind of hear from them. But we did take on a Southern series this year. Most people know about our good friend Terry Lyerly passing away a couple of months ago. And they want to do kind of a memorial tour for him down in Illinois. And Austin Johnson, who works for me, asked me if I'd be interested. And And I used to tell him I was never going to go to Illinois because it was just too far away. But when he throws something in for a memorial for Terry, I couldn't turn it down.
Right.
And Austin's kind of headed it with me, and we're going to do 3 shows down in Pleasant Hill, Illinois. And we're working on maybe even doing a point series. Corey Ludington with Show Me Sliders got a hold of us and wanted to do a point series for the street stock guys down there. And so now we're kind of maybe considering a point series for all 4 classes that'll be ran at those 3 shows, ending in September with a big memorial derby / points finale in memory of Terry. So that's kind of a heartstring tour down there this year, but I mean, I couldn't think of doing it for a better person, and Austin's confident in it, and I'm confident in Austin and my company, so that's going to be kind of fun down there. But as far as up here in Iowa, we're going to keep our same shows, hopefully add in a couple of more, and just keep our weekends busy crashing cars.
Nobody's had any issues blowing donuts and tearing up fairground turf anyplace?
No, we haven't.
That's good. Remember that a couple years ago? That was. I'm glad that's settled down for you. That was such an ugly situation. Does Iowa have the county fair conventions the way that they do in New York and a number of other places that we've talked to? They have those conventions, and do you go to those as Domination, or is everything pretty much just word of mouth?
So, I mean, when I took over, obviously taking over Ultimate Derby, changing it to Domination, I was lucky enough to keep all the same shows.
Right.
And at that time, we were doing a lot of shows, and they do have a fair convention here. As far as I know, there's only one promoter that really goes to it. Mm-hmm. But at the time, I thought, I don't want to add any more shows.
Right.
I keep a small crew, and I like my crew to stay together. And, adding a bunch of shows, doing them the same weekend or even the same night, splitting up my crew, I just didn't want to do it. And so I don't go to the convention. I have thought about it just to check it out and see what it's all about. And maybe one of these years I will. But so far I haven't done it. I basically, the new shows that I've picked up, like you said, have been word of mouth. They've contacted a fair I've already had, asked who they recommended and gave me a call. So I must be doing something right if they're calling.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some groups out here that just set their watch by those conventions, and really they probably, as long as nothing's any different, nothing's going to be any different, but they set their watch by it, and they swear they got to be there, and you don't really see much changing hands, but usually when something changes hands, it's a litany of fairs that move away from a given promoter. And that's one of the things that has been just so impressive in a sport that doesn't necessarily the Demolition Derby sport sticks together, and it's weird how blanketly loyal drivers can be, or but on the flip side, you look at the loyalty among promoterships and stuff, and how fast those switches can flip. Candice has been able to do a great job of hanging on to virtually the same schedule for seasons, and knowing what is going to make a good derby and knowing the limits of it.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean, without stretching so thin.
Yep, without a doubt. And that's the thing. I mean, a good promoter has to know what's going to work. I mean, it's you can't go into a town that's used to chain and bangs and go with a full weld. I mean, you have to kind of know the area you're looking at and the area you're working with, and we see that with the successful promoters out there. They have the right shows in the right places. I mean, we've seen it where they'll throw a bunch of spitballs at a wall and see what sticks, and it doesn't always work, but it's the good ones know what's going to work, and that's what they keep there and keep active.
I talked with Frankie Guy over the weekend, and there's been a little bit of pushback on that situation that he was posting about on his Facebook page, and,
really?
and losing that fair. It's all been very supportive of what what Frankie's doing. And if everybody does what they say they're going to do, they're going to have 5 or 6 cars. And I was talking to Frankie. I said, within a couple of years, you're going to have that show back because they're gonna see the difference that it made. It's very good.
Well, and like I say, this world is big enough for whoever wants to be a promoter. I can't do them all. Smash It can't do it all. One person can't do them all, nor do I want to. And so, as long as promoters stay loyal and don't try to cut each other's throats, then there's room for all of us. And even just in Iowa, we're a small state here, but there's room. There's 4, 5, 6 of us. There's room for all of us, and we can work together. I'm not saying you got to run my rules, and I'm not going to run your rules, but if you treat the drivers right, they're going to support everybody.
Mm-hmm. That is said very well. How many times have we been out here in New York or in Pennsylvania where it is outwardly obvious that those rules are made so that other cars can't come?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's that's one of the problems is a lot of places don't have that cooperation and don't have that mutual respect. And that is one of the things that's hurt Derby over the years. But I definitely think it's improved. The last 8, 9, 10 years, I think that guys are kind of seeing, hey, if these guys can build the car to run this set of rules and maybe change a little bit and then run mine and do a little something here to run this one, it's definitely getting better.
Well, doesn't it make the most sense to let people get multiple runs out of a car?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but some people don't think that way. Some promoters go for car counts. They want to be able to say they have the biggest car count. And, I'm really quality over quantity at this point. And, if they want to change their rules because they want to take my cars or take my drivers, so to speak, it's not going to par out for them because the drivers are going to stay where they know that they're going to be treated right. And,
absolutely.
As far as around here, I would say for the most part, we're having a cleanup show that we're calling it in the second weekend of April and allowing, several different sets of rules in. But for the most part, this rule set, there's some Nebraska guys that want to come out. They have to change a little bit, but they can still come run. Even some guys in Iowa, changing their cars from a limited weld car to a street stock car, they have a little bit to do, but if they want to finish off their car, they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And how many times have we heard about, well, I got to get my drivetrain out of it for this next plan, and now everybody's got 2 and 3 set up so that they can rotate stuff
just
around.
Keep going.
It's awesome. It's a great time for Demolition Derby, I think.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
When is the schedule going to be coming out for Domination then?
Hopefully soon. Like I said, I'm waiting on a couple of. I know there was a fair board meeting tonight that they were supposed to let me know on something, and one maybe I think next week. So I'm hoping once I get home from Carnage and am able to breathe a little bit, I'll be able to get that out. The nice thing is a lot of the fairs around here, if a driver is used to going to that fair, they know when that show is. I do have a couple of them already out. Like I said, we do have one down in Illinois the first weekend in April. That's the start of the Number 9 Memorial Tour. Then I have one April 9th, which is Snowmageddon, which we ran that last year as a, so to speak, cleanup show and had great success. I know there's still some cars left out there from last season that people, like you said, want to get drivetrains out and whatnot and get ready for the point series starting again for this year. So I think from the phone calls that I've received, I think that's going to be a great show. And then we kind of have a break until July, and we have our big Monona County Mayhem Derby July 15th and 16th, where we're running street stock teams and modified teams, 2-man teams, and $12,000 to win. So I'm looking. That has been a great show the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. And then it's pretty much every weekend after that.
How many phone calls have you missed just while we've been talking this last half hour?
I haven't even looked at my phone.
Awesome. Well, that will all be released on Domination Motorsports Facebook page. Very active. All the information that you want is going to be out there. Candice does a great job of getting start times, show posters, and everything up, so you can find it there. And then the website, of course, has all the rules breakdowns and everything as well. Just throw Domination Motorsports in. You'll be able to find all of it. And, of course, if you have any questions, you can go right to Candice, right at the table where she is for almost the entirety of every trip that she ever makes to Topeka, at the table by the computer right there at the sign-in tables. I appreciate you coming on and making some time for us. I know this is a busy time of year for you, but travel safe, and I definitely look forward to catching up with you when we get down there into Kansas.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for inviting me on.
Of course. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yep, see you soon.
See you now.
Yep, bye.
Bye. There goes Candice Jo, getting ready to head down to Topeka. She stays busy.
For sure.
So let's start here. I saw there's some interesting stuff going on over at the Fab Farm. You been following along on Facebook at all?
I see he said that there's some interesting stuff about to be released or about to happen. I'm not sure what that is. You're usually in the know, so.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Did you see the picture that he posted all those cars? No,
Yeah.
you got to find something.
Yeah, like I'm going to ask the question. I don't even know if he's listening on air, but I think in the last, 5-6 years, I think Jeffy's ran twice. Yeah, and he just got 3 fresh cars.
Yep.
So that ought to last him, 15 years, 20 years? I mean, if we're doing the math right.
Right. I don't know. I'm not sure what he's up to with that stuff, but
unless he's going to start building them and selling them complete. If so,
gosh.
I would test one for him.
Demolition Derby showroom.
I would test one out for him just to make sure everything holds up well. The welds are good. The LS will turn 9,500 as advertised. I mean, whatever he needs, I would tech for it, or I would test out for him.
Maybe you should place a phone call. Become one of their house drivers.
That would be awesome. I mean, I'm right there with Mike Klinger, right?
Yeah, sure. Right there with, I was thinking, who else? Jimmy Phelps had the Troyer house car for a while. Right there, side by side.
Yeah.
You and Jimmy, right? No? No, maybe not.
The original Troyer house car was Alan Johnson.
I thought Danny Johnson had one of the Troyer cars.
Mud Bus 1, Alan Johnson. That was the original house car.
But
you probably weren't born yet.
No, I don't think so. That was 1961 when he started his.
It was 83, I believe. He debuted the Troyer.
Yeah.
Dirt car. How old are you in 83?
When did he debut it? Was it June?
April.
April? Yeah, so I was maybe not even one yet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Your dad
That's not
probably
that impressive anymore, though, when you think about it, because I'm solidly in my middle-aged years at this point.
You are.
Rocketing towards 40.
Rocketing towards 40. Yeah. Oh, I don't remember when I was rocketing towards 40.
I don't think you rocket anywhere now, huh?
It depends if I'm late. The old Dodge will still move pretty good.
Awesome.
Jeffy's Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby needs. We've got you covered from bumper to bumper. Whether you need headers, shifters, harnesses, fueling systems, or complete turnkey setups, Jeffy'sFabFarm.com can help. We've even got a Canadian branch to help our northern customers. With over 16 years in the industry, we've got the knowledge and experience needed to provide the highest quality parts and put you in the winner's circle. Visit our website today or call Jeff at 540-907-3390. Fabby says the best parts come from the farm. Jeffy'sFabFarm.com.
All right, so just looking ahead here, we were talking a little bit about the wonders of the city of Chillicothe.
We were,
and some of the interesting bits of history that can be found if you go searching through the old Google pages. The Ross County Fairgrounds, situated in Chillicothe, Ohio, is going to be the home once again of the Bash for Cash. It's the revamped Bash for Cash, the 3-man team pro stocks, $15,000 to win. Turn back the clock class, $12,000 to win. Smash it mini cars, $10,000 to win. $2,000 to win for all of the support classes. Smash it full size street stock mini, street stock full size pro stock mini, youth mini. Smith Metalworks Youth full size street stock minivan, truck, and SUV. Frank the Tank Relic Farm truck. all on the support card. May the 27th is the kickoff Pro Stock Team Heat. Smith Metal Works Youth Full Size at 7 o'clock. Turn Back the Clock Heats are the opening event for the 28th. And then Pro Stock Team Consi, Youth Mini, Street Stock Mini, Minivan, Mini Truck, and SUV Heats. Then we've got the Street Stock Full Size, Frank the Tank, and Smash It Mini. The Relic class has been moved to Championship Sunday. Farm Truck, Street Stock Mini, Relics, Pro Stock Mini, Smash It Full Size, Pro Stock Team feature, and the Turn Back the Clock features. The headline, smashitderby.com for additional details. May 27th to the 29th in Chillicothe, Ohio. So I found out last week, we didn't have all the results, that Scotty Drevenak got his first win in an adult class in Wytheville.
Awesome.
Which was really exciting. I mean, Dad was super happy about it. There's been some major changes, major shakeups on the Unified Point Series. Up next is going to be next weekend, 2 weeks from now, is going to be the Urban Destruction Show Wickeds event in Sturgis, Kentucky. Is back out there. And then the 15th and 16th is Dead Man's No Mercy 2 in Cumberland, Maryland.
That got moved, right?
I don't believe so.
I thought I just read something where they had to move Dead Man's No Mercy 2.
Maybe.
We'll have to go with TJ.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm sure if he's listening, he'll let us know. Derby Icon Spring Explosion is the 22nd and 23rd. Hardcore's Compact Throwdown is the 30th of April. May 14th is Controlled Chaos in Knox, Pennsylvania. And then June 11th is TNT's Wexford Ward Zone in Cadillac, Michigan. So that takes us up to about the middle of June right there, the 2022 standings. At this point, Ty Richards still out in front with 30 points. Corey Buddy, second place with 16. And then we've got Michael Kelly in the number 3 spot with 15 points. Trevor Jones is tied with Mason Stacy. Both of them have amassed 15 points each. And then Fugie Barnes and Bill Miller, 12 points each, tied for 6th. And then 8th place, 14-weight tie, drivers with 10 points. So you can follow along with all of the standings and all the names and upcoming events online, 527unifiedseries.com. This is also at midnight tonight. It is the deadline for apparel orders. So we'll remind you of that again. We threw that link up in the chats last week, so we're going to remind you again of that here when we wrap up the show. But this is the cutoff for the apparel order, and they've been flying through stuff. Mark, when we talked to him, he was a little bit concerned that Mark Elliott, he was a little bit concerned, maybe his real life and real world jobs and stuff had become getting in the way, and he wasn't promoting as well as he should. Well, everybody knows what the Unified Point Series is.
No doubt.
It's looking like it's doing just fine.
Absolutely.
And right here we've got the RPM Group, Progressive Waste Management Company based in Owego. RPM Group started in 2016 and now boasts 2 roll-offs and 6 garbage trucks, fully certified and licensed. The RPM Group customer base has swelled to more than 3,000 people, offering curbside trash and recycling services in addition to asbestos abatement, asbestos surveys, interior and exterior demolition, lead renovation, mold remediation, mold assessment, and dumpster rental. Contact the RPM Group for all of your needs, 607-223-8714 or rpmgroupny.com. And as we continue on, we are a little over a month away from the Smith Metal Works Demolition Derby Expo. We ran through all of the vendors that were going to be there. Holy cow, it's loaded. That is on the Smith Metal Works WORX Facebook page, facebook.com/Smith Metal Works. The event's going to include the seminars, a collaborative rules meeting, in addition to a number of the vendors. There's a ton more information that is now available on the Facebook page. Like we said, this is going to be second to none. There's a full vendors list available as well. Times still to be determined at this point, and they're going to have some additional Demolition Derby action up the road a mile to conclude the event April 8th and 9th. SmithMetalworks.info, WORKS for additional input. You can also get a hold of Casey Smith. Frankie Guy, he's got some information on it as well. It's going to be an awesome one. You don't want to miss this. And this is the second year of it, and they're really hitting their stride. And this is also going to be at the new Smith Metal Works facility. So that is that. All right. I don't think I can do that because that would make the audio go all screwy. There we go. And here we are. Look at this. Not doing too shabby.
Now Chris is going to call Kristi and Devon.
Kristi and Devon, yep.
Canada.
I was on the phone with Kristi a little bit before she made the trip into New York, and at one point it seemed like maybe they weren't even going to go just because they had so much stuff going on. But then it got to the point where they just had to. So they were in New York Saturday, but then they had to motor back home because, in addition to everything else, Kristi also works at the funeral home and does taxes in Canada. So, I mean, literally, the jokes.
She doesn't have much going on.
No.
I mean, she's a lot of spare time, a lot of just hanging out and relaxing.
Impacts death and taxes. Yes. Well, it was a fascinating conversation. We ended up on the phone for an hour and a half or something, just talking about all these different things that go into making 2022 possible. And over the course of it, as your house was floating away in the flooding, I thought that perhaps maybe you guys have officially lost your mind. Your schedule is up to did you say it was 170 shows now?
Thanks, Chris. No. If we complete all the contracts that we are looking at right now, we should have close to 36 shows this year.
That's just crazy. Now, Kristi and Devon did go to the Ontario. I think you said it was the Ontario. It was the Ontario Fair Convention, right?
Yes.
Yep, they set up there.
It's the Ontario Agriculture Association. They have a fair convention every year in February, and it was our first time attending in person. Last year it was virtual, so it was really cool to go and set up and actually get to talk to some of the fairs that we didn't get a chance to run last year because of COVID shutting them down. So it was kind of nice to go and put some faces to names and shake some hands and visit some people, and it was great.
Nice.
How much signing did you do at the show itself?
Most of our stuff is pretty much already discussed and kind of behind the scenes. So there weren't any new fair boards per se that we were talking with because we're pretty booked. We did have a couple that contacted us at the fair convention and talked with us, but it's just they're booked on weekends. Like September, we're booked all of September. We don't even have a day to ourselves to kind of think, let alone do anything else. So it's you kind of have to turn them down, and that's the worst thing. I just hate saying, sorry guys, we're not going to book 2 or 3 shows on a weekend because we just don't want to water it down and give them a subpar. 2 or 3 shows a day, and we don't want to water it down and give them a subpar performance. Right,
because you said there is one point through the course of the year where you've got 3 going at the same time, right?
Yeah, one weekend in September, we actually have 2 fairs that are 2 of our pretty large fairs that we're kind of booking back-to-back. They're doing the same nights. But then we have 2 other fairs that are booking on bookends of that kind of take Devon one direction and me the other direction. So it's very interesting when you got to try and split our crew up and try to do your classes based on which team you're taking where. So it's challenging in our first full year of running. So it's those kinds of challenges that we're starting to face, which is kind of a nice problem to have. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's different. It's a different sort of challenge instead of fighting COVID.
So there's been these kind of hints that there's some stuff that's kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say that it's coming back from the dead, but there's stuff that's coming back to Ontario that had sort of gone away, and one of them was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a points system or a point series?
Yeah, so when one of our old promoters that actually retired in the year 2020, they made their announcement in early 2021. They used to run a point series in all of Ontario, a separate point series for figure eight and a separate point series for derby. And with no one doing that, it kind of left a bit of a gap. So we talked about it, and the drivers poked us, and especially the figure eight guys. The figure eight guys are huge on the point series. So we decided that we were going to pick that up, and we're actually going to run the point series for figure eight, and then we decided to do something more like what Mark Elliott does with a unified points for the derby side. Instead of it being separate for compact, separate for full size, we just decided to make it a little bit easier for our registration manager, so she's not going crazy with 7,000 spreadsheets. and we decided to do it more like a unified point. So we'll have 2 championships at the end of the year in October.
You know, I think if you guys plan a little more, you could probably figure out something to do between like the hours of like between 3 and 5 in the morning. I really don't think you guys need to sleep. I think you guys could figure something, you know, derby related to just the stuff in there. So it's, you know, you're just busy around the clock.
Yeah, 3 to 5 in the morning, that could be my building time, so I can still run.
There you go. That's excellent. Devin, I'm glad I could help you out, bud. There you go. If anybody needs Devin, don't call between 3 and 5. His phone's going to be shut off.
I'm penciling that in right now. Thank you, Brian. We were trying to figure out when he was going to build for the Expo and build for, Bash and, yeah, all these big builds this year that he has. And he wants to still run Blizzard Bash, but that's up in the air.
Hey, I'm just glad I could help.
Always a help.
What was the post about Fall Brawl the other day?
So, Fall Brawl has always been the big show at the end of the year. It's always been a cleanup show, and it kind of ballooned.
It started to be a cleanup show, and then nobody brought used cars anymore. Everybody was building fresh, and it ended up taking off to, I think the first year there was like 100 cars, and then I think they got up to almost 400 cars 2 years later, and that's all in a matter of like 8 hours of showtime.
Yeah, Greg came up with that split ring, running that split ring so that your one class is done or one heat's done and the next heat starts while you're clearing the cars, and that was like a huge advantage to getting through.
That's the only way you're getting through 400 cars in 8 hours.
Yeah, I think the most they ran was, 402 cars in a day.
Something like that. It was crazy.
And with Fall Brawl being kind of gone since 2017, we keep getting poked and poked and poked and poked. When's Fall Brawl? Every time we go to make an announcement, we're going to make an announcement. We're going to make an announcement. All we hear is Fall Brawl, Fall Brawl, Fall Brawl. So we kind of talked to the powers that be at Lindsay Exhibition, because that's Lindsay is Derby Town, and you couldn't have Fall Brawl anywhere but Lindsay. And they agreed to open the date for us for October 22nd, and we're going to have Fall Brawl Reborn. And everyone seems to think we're going to try to break the 400 record for the day, and I keep thinking,
I don't think I want to do that yet.
This is our first Fall Brawl. Why don't we rein that back a little bit and let us kind of get through and get our...
like 375.
Start off with a digestible, manageable 375.
Listen, just remember, as you're inspecting and running through those 375 cars that day, that you love Derby and you're having fun. Just remember that throughout that day.
Yeah, the hard part is getting people to show up to tech on time. I know Greg used to do the early tech the night before, and he'd get anywhere from 60 to 75 cars to show up early, which is a huge help. And then tech opens again the next morning at 6:30 in the morning, and it closes at 12. Well, everybody wants to run to the tech gate at 11 in the morning, and then they have to wait in line, they have to cut, and they never make it. So hopefully we can get quite a few more on the evening before this year.
Yeah, if I was going to give any advice to drivers, there's 2 things. One is just show up to tech early. If you're at the track, I don't care what show it is, fair show, standalone show, bash for cash, Fall Brawl, wherever, dead band, all that sort of stuff, go to tech early. Get to tech. Let the guys do their jobs. It's so stressful when you have 200, 300 cars that got to come through tech, and you got to check them all, and you have a deadline. You have to get the show on the track in time for the fans that are sitting there waiting to go. So just be respectful of that and kind of show up on time and go through tech.
Especially if it's a show where there's camping. There's nothing better than showing up, get the car teched, tie it down, put a tarp over it, you're done now.
Yep.
Now you can hang out with your friends, be social, relax.
Yep.
You don't have to wake up the ass crack of dawn to get in line for tech because you're already done. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah. It's when Brett put on the first Coos, that was a 2-hour drive for me, but we left my house at my parents' house at 5 in the morning or something. And we got down there early, and I was one of the first cars through tech, and man, was I glad I did, because nobody expected to have the turnout that they did. I mean, there was 160 big cars or something crazy like that. And that
because that wasn't any pre-registration. There wasn't any set number. It's just whoever shows up runs.
Yep. So and I agree. I obviously a lot of friends that are involved in the promoting and inspecting, and there's nothing worse than trying to, because I mean, with that many cars, you want to do a good job, but you got to get that many cars through, and it just makes it so much more stressful on everybody. Definitely, if you can be there day early, do it, because it's just going to help everybody out, and and I understand, I know guys, like Brett Relier, who like to show up 5 minutes before the inspection closes and try to zip through, but it's definitely better, for guys to show up and get stuff taken care of, and just makes it easier on everybody involved.
It does, and especially when we have a head tech, actually both of our head techs that love to coach and love to help people and give them pointers. We don't have time for that. We have to remind them of that sometimes. And you have Reg Bonneau as our head tech for V8. And you know those Derby wizards. He loves to tell stories, talk, see how you're doing, chat, all that sort of stuff. Give you, hey, did you realize if you just moved this half an inch and welded here and did this, it would strengthen your car exponentially. And it's like, we appreciate that and love the fact that they help. But when you're going through 300 cars, it's like, come on, guys, let's go. Gotta go.
You show up for early tech and you can have all the Derby stories you want.
Yeah, no kidding.
With a whiskey.
Yeah, with a whiskey. Can't beat that.
What would be nice is if you could get together with one of the event partners, and instead of the arbitrary, well, if you come to early tech, here's $10 back. If you pass on the first time, on top of teching early, you get $10, and you pass the first time, here's another 10, so you get $20 back on your entry, or whatever it is. Because that's ultimately increasing the risk for the promoter, because you don't have as much money passing through the gate. It increases the risk for the promoter. If you could get some sort of incentive with a local barbecue guy to come on Friday, and if you come through tech, here's $5 off of your barbecue. Or if you come through tech, here's $5 off at a local sponsor. Like if there's like here's a $10 voucher at your local pick and pull, or something like that, so that you're not, there's no actual money transacting necessarily, because
donations.
No, it's not even that. I mean, it's a voucher for something.
It would be the sponsors donating, and thus
and at that, $10, $10 at your pick and pull, if you need something, that's voodoo money anyway, So it doesn't really necessarily cost anything, but at least there's an incentive where somebody's getting something if they come early, without putting it at the promoter that's hosting the show at a disadvantage. It'd be nice. I remember one night we were getting ready. I think it was one of the September shows with Spinning Wheels out at Otsego County Fairgrounds, and I couldn't sleep. I got up and I got there at 6:30, and everybody was there, and tech was open, and there was no cars. I'm like, oh my god, this is. I expected there to be somebody, but I guess the night before it was fairly it was fairly good comparatively. But Mark Elliott is notorious. He chased Frankie Guy all over the place at a couple of the shows that Hardcore did, because it's an entertainment business. When all those cars flood the gate at 11 o'clock and then the show has to start late, that is an adverse experience for the fans. They want the show to start on time and to get things going.
We will not start a show late. We will not. We will close our tech. If you aren't at the tech or through retech, it is your issue. You're on the trailer. Our tech, we advise what time our tech closes, and it closes at that time. If you're not in the barn and through tech, that's your issue. The show starts at 2 o'clock. It starts at 2 o'clock with O Canada, the national anthem. And I'm sorry, but it has to be that way, because those fans that are sitting there paying to see the drivers run, they're not going to be sitting there at 2:30 in a happy place when you're late showing up to the game. So if you can't get your car there and through tech, then I'm sorry, but we're not going to hold it for you. And I know that might seem really mean of us, but it's the way it is. That you get there and get your car through tech.
I've noticed that the fudge time sponge for promoters is the Power Wheels. Because if everything's going great, those Power Wheels are starting 15 minutes early. And we're going to do the anthem, and we're going to say all our hellos, and we're going to do the Power Wheels, and then we can have the track loaded with the first heat for the 2 o'clock start time. But if inspection's going rough, those Power Wheels are going to come out, and then we're going to do best appearing paint, and then the Power Wheels are going to run for 45 minutes,
Yep.
And
we're gonna let these kids enjoy it. Yeah, absolutely.
And no one can complain because you did start at 2:00. You know, it was. I always enjoy watching the math and the argument of what the start time is supposed to be versus what the start time is supposed to be.
Yeah.
When you were chatting about giving something an incentive to come through tech, our very first big show that we ran, we actually had that. If you passed tech on the very first try or early tech, we put your name in a draw, and we had some prizes that were donated from one of our awesome sponsors, and they won 9-wire and a battery box and a couple other things, and we did the draw at the driver's meeting for anyone who passed tech on the first try.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some incentive and anything to get you closer to the start time, so you don't have to watch 45 minutes of Power Wheels. Is the season the season at this point locked in with the straggler here or there? 36 shows, so Fall Brawl's coming back. The Point Series is coming back. I think this is going to be a heck of a first year. Nick Embry just said he's going to have to bag a whole lot more if he wants to win the Points Championship.
If he begged anymore, he wouldn't get off the line.
Ouch. That hurt.
He knows I'm teasing him. So we do have, everything's pretty close to being cemented in. We do have a bunch of shows that we're going to announce probably within the next week to add to the schedule that's already there. Fall Brawl, we are going to run 2-Man Extreme. We had a whole bunch of people say they wanted it in Canada, so we're going to kind of borrow some rules from Gully, and we're going to turn around and run that up here for the first time. And people already, when can I sign up? When can I register? And the show's not until October. But they're excited, and that's part of it, right? Bringing stuff to them that they want to see and they want to run and the excitement. But we should have the rest of our shows pretty close to being hammered out. There's just a few more that we just got to work out some last-minute details, and we should be good to go.
Yes.
Awesome. And it looks like youth cars potentially for 2022?
Yes, youth. Actually, thank you for bringing that up. We actually was partnered with Frankie for the Youth Nationals, and we are so glad that Frankie, we saw him on the weekend at the swap meet, and it was so nice to sit down with him and chat about the direction, and we can't wait to get to the expo and sit down and chat with all the promoters at the promoter dinner that we're going to be at. And it's just such a wonderful thing to be able to get the youth involved. We put out a little thing because we're starting way behind you guys. Everyone down the States are already running, and our shows don't start. Our first show doesn't start for youth until July 10th. So when you're looking at a build for a V8 build that's pretty heavy build for October 1st, we need to make a decision pretty soon, and our shows start in July and finish in October, so the majority of our shows are in September. That's not enough time. So we have some youth that we're looking at, some that we're considering from last year on how they ran last year. We had a couple parents message me and tell me that they're very interested in having their son or daughter run. We had actually some amazing messages from some youth drivers that sent us their own message as to why they feel that they would be a good candidate to represent Impact in Canada down at the Youth Nationals.
Awesome.
And we're going to see how it goes on the July 10th show, and I think we have a show in August that we'll be running a youth compact heat, and then we don't want them to ruin out all their V8s because they're hard to find up here. And we just want them to have fun. We just want them to go down, have a good time. Devon's going to travel with them. I have to stay and run 2 shows that weekend up here, so Devon's going to travel down with them, and they should have a good show. It's going to be fun, and we're glad that Frankie's including us.
It's awesome. Yep, and that banquet even the expo that Kristi was just referring to, that was the Smith Metalworks one that we were telling you about. So that, again, for additional details on that, smithmetalworks.info. All the scheduling information for Impact is going to be available on the website. Also, the social media channels are going to be busy with that stuff as well. Of course, if you have questions, you can always message Kristi and Devon directly. And hopefully, provided that their house hasn't completely floated away, they'll be able to get back to you. Awesome. Well, is there anything that we missed?
Anything you want to add, Devon?
No, that's pretty much it.
yeah, just stay tuned for a busy year, and we'll see how it goes, and see if by the end of the year, Devon isn't more gray than he is now.
Devon, that's all right, man. It's the white just adds it adds character, but don't worry about it. It's just character.
Over Fox now.
Happens to the young guys, huh?
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Like I said, I've earned them all.
What?
Here, Chris is going on about going to 40, and Devon just turned 30, and Brian and I are sitting back going, yeah, okay. We're like in the 50 range, you guys. Come on,
Sneaking
give us a
in.
break.
Yeah. Brian is not rocketing toward 50.
Slowly moving. Slowly inching.
He's crawling towards 50 and kicking and screaming about it.
Nah, you're only as old as you feel. Or act. And I act like 12, so we're
That
good.
is true. You're always old enough to know better, and Brian is still too young to care.
Exactly.
And that's why Brian and I get along so well.
It is. It is. For
Awesome.
sure.
Well, appreciate you making some time for us. We're looking forward to learning more about Fall Brawl. It's one of them that I think you actually told me about it first before I knew that the show was happening up there with the Impact program, and it was always cool to hear about the double ring and the world records and stuff. So it's good to see that that's back. That's another one that's come back. Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. We're proud. We're very happy to have it. So, and thanks for having us on again, guys. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Good to hear from you guys.
Well, travel safe later on this month, and stay in touch.
All right. Take care. Bye,
See
guys.
everyone, guys.
Once again, Capital City Carnage is this weekend. It's going to be airing on Derby Nation. Excited to be out there. Those links, I think they'll be up probably middle of the week. There might even be some changes coming. I'm not sure. There might be some changes to the draw process, which will be entertaining if we get the opportunity to do that. It's something that we've tried to do in the past, but I don't know if it's going to take full grip for Capital City Carnage or not. And then the link is in the chat for any of the Unified Series apparel that you might be interested in. So, and again, that shuts off at midnight tonight if anybody does want to get in on that. $3.90
In the books.
coming close to a close. Did you have any final thoughts?
Nope.
It looked like you had something all queued up, but I didn't stop talking.
No, we're good.
No.
390.
All
Good
right.
motor. Ford used to build them.
What?
Ford used to build 390s. Did you know that?
I'm trying to remember the...
I believe it was a 390 Super Commando. I believe.
That was in some NASCAR entries had that, didn't they?
I think so. I could be wrong, though. Because they were trying to compete with the Hemi. So I think they built the 390, then they eventually went to the 427.
Right.
But
I seem to remember there were some galaxies like Elmo Langley or Ned Jarrett or Fred Lorenzen and the Holman Moody cars, Fireball Roberts. I think all those guys had 390s in them before.
I think they were. I think you're right.
Yeah. It rung a
know a
bell.
lot
I
about
just had
racing
to,
stuff.
It rung a bell, but I just couldn't quite get back there.
Wood Brothers, I'm sure, had a 390 in there somewhere. They've always been Ford.
I don't know if they would have had that. David Pearson had one, but he drove the blue and gold number 17, but that wasn't a Wood Brothers car. I don't know if the Wood Brothers would have had that or not. I assume that they must have.
Yeah,
the team must have been organized.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was Lenwood was driving for them then back when the brothers had cars.
Before they were just owners and operators.
Yeah.
They're
Can you
owners.
imagine how many championships they would have won if they
Followed the whole tour.
Yep. But instead, they were the quintessential outlaws when it came to NASCAR.
Yeah, they just went where the money was.
They just went to the places where they had the best odds of winning, and they saved the resources. And
if you look, David Pearson's winning percentage is pretty incredible.
it's insane.
Yeah, because he's got like 106 or 107 wins in NASCAR, which Petty's got 200, and I grew up a Petty fan and yada yada yada. But if you look at David Pearson's winning percentage, it's pretty crazy. Sure, we probably just bored all our Derby fans. We apologize.
Doug Cotillo was talking about the Ford having the 390. And,
Cool.
Yeah, it was a great time because that whole premise of win on Sunday, sell on Monday drove so many decisions, and NASCAR was stock car racing.
Yeah, there were cars.
Even did I send you the picture of Richard Petty when he was sitting in the side of a Plymouth Superbird? I got to find that picture. Richard Petty was sitting in there, and I guess it wasn't even like, at that point, welding wasn't exactly the same. It was more just brazing things together and hoping to God that the impact didn't. But he's got a door completely off of a Superbird, and you can see where they changed the shape of the quarter panel and brazed the panel in to allow for wheel clearance but the spoiler's still on the deck.
Yep.
The big, and there he is with all he's got the roll cage starting to go, and you can see all the braze marks and stuff. It's just this black and white picture, and it's Richard Petty welding on a Super. It's like, that's a race $250,000 car.
That's a race car, man.
Yep. It was cool. It was
Absolutely.
very cool. Richard Petty is cool, period. Fight me.
He's the one person you never interviewed.
I got yelled at when I was a kid in front of him, and Dale Inman was in the car next to Richard Petty because I jumped up on the running board of his van, and my dad was mortified, and I didn't know any better because I was just getting closer to Superman, and that was always in the back of my mind. And then the one chance that I had to ask him a question, he was right there. The only thing I could think of was, it was a test pattern.
The only actual NASCAR race I have ever been to, we went to Pocono. Bobby Allison won. Richard Petty was second. Dale Earnhardt broke his leg in a flip in the Wrangler Ford, and we got Richard Petty's autograph afterwards.
Yeah,
I don't know how we got in the pits. We just kept walking, and there was a group of people around him, and as Richard Petty does, he stood there and signed every autograph. It's got to be at my parents' house somewhere, but yeah, it was cool. You know, that's the sort of thing you remember forever.
It was. I love that process, that mindset of just keep walking until someone tells you can't be there. Just shut your mouth and act like you belong.
You don't like it when I do it.
I don't. I like it when I'm by myself.
I'm going to remember that the next time we're on the road, because you always get nervous when I do stuff like that.
You remember Hank Pearson?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, Coach Courtney's daughter was running for Villanova, and they were running at the Penn Relays, which is huge. And we were competing at the Penn Relays as well in the high school divisions, and Carrie Tollefson was a favorite to win the 3200. And the girls, the team, the Villanova team, won their relay. I think it was the 4x8 relay. So they brought them into the NCAA press conference, and Hank and I, we just kept kind of walking through doors following the people that we knew, you know, not necessarily making contact or portraying that we were with them in any way. We just kind of followed them, and we could see the lights and the NCAA backdrop and everything up ahead of us. And I go,
just kept getting closer.
And I go, Hank, I don't think we're supposed to be here. He goes, just keep walking. And we walked right in. Yeah. We walked right in, and we stood on the wall, and I said, what happens if we find out? What if he goes, just act like you belong here?
And Hank is one of the coolest. I can see Hank just being, because he is one of the coolest people in the world. Like, you know, he's just one of those guys that everything he does, he seems to, you know, have been doing it right, and just a great dude.
And Carrie and well, all of them really, because we'd met them at the college the night before. We all went out to dinner, but I remember specifically they were getting asked questions, and they saw us standing there, and they started whispering to each other, laughing and pointing and stuff. And I'm like, "We're ahead, we're done. We're not going to be able to run. We're done." And he goes, "Just stop it."
Was that when you were being recruited by Villanova to run?
No. No, I was never recruited by anybody to run.
Just checking.
No.
Did you cleat anybody while you were down there?
What?
Did you cleat anybody while you were down there?
No, that track, are you familiar with a regular running track, how it's got 8 lanes? And lane 1 is 400 meters and the stagger and everything. Well, the track at the University of Pennsylvania, I think, is 12 lanes. So lane 4 is the 400-meter track. Lane 3 is shorter, so you actually start further back. And there's this metal, for the distance races, there's this metal rail that's affixed to the track for in lane 4. And when we were moving out to our 4x1 positions, that track was still there, that metal rail, and I stepped on it, twisted my ankle, heading over to turn 2. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening. this is insane. And I couldn't walk on it. My foot was numb. I was in an absolute panic, but I didn't want anybody to know or whatever. And they lifted this track out and everything was gone and it was all right. But that gun went off and I couldn't feel a thing. It was so loud. And we were in our heat, and I will guarantee that Ed Courtney lied through his teeth how fast our team was. Guarantee that he lied, because they shot that gun and all the teams took off, and there were teams in our high school class from like Jamaica, and they were
pretty quick.
I've never seen fast like that. It was like you could hear the wind whistling when they went by. And our 4x4 was much better, but the 4x1 it was something. But I mean, once that happened, I couldn't feel anything. I was able to run 100 meters at the fastest clip I've ever done and still finish far behind anybody else that was out there.
Like they were like setting up for the next race when you came in, that sort of
deal? No, because I had to hand the baton off I think I handed it to Pat Donnelly that year up in the top of turn 3. So I wasn't the last one there, but yeah, it was rough. That's the same way that go like you belong there deal.
Yeah.
That I was working for ARCA Racing, and I didn't have the credentials to really do anything. And then I didn't have a way to get over. It was before Uber. I didn't have a way to get from the airport to the racetrack, and somebody just dropped me off out front, and I had to walk around to the credential office. It was a mess, but I finally got to the point where I was on the ground. I was in the garage area, and I had to interview. I think it was Billy Venturini, and I think I was trying to track down Bobby Hamilton Jr., and I ended up staying with Bobby Gerhart.
Cool.
And Bobby Gerhart had a second car there for Clint Boyer, and Richard Childress' team was pitting the car.
Cool.
So we watched the race, the shootout that night from on top of Bobby Gerhart's trailer. But in terms of my job there with ARCA, I had to watch the race and get talking points. So I was wandering around, and I came upon this glass building that looked a lot like the glass building that used to be at Watkins Glen. That was the NASCAR scoring tower. And I walked in there, and I got in, and like it was like the Hunger Games, man. This lady looked around, and she knew that I wasn't supposed to be there. But as soon as she started to turn around, I found the first seat, and I sat down, and I ducked, and I was trying to be as invisible as possible. And the lady next to me goes, "You're not supposed to be in here, are you?" And I go, no comment. And she goes, "You're the backup scorer for my car. We're good." And she lied for me every time.
That is
awesome. I don't know what car she was watching or anything. But after the race got over with, I said, "Thank you." The lady from NASCAR came back, and she said, "And I still don't think that you're supposed to be in here, but I can't prove it." And I go, "Doesn't matter. I'm flying out tomorrow." And
that's terrific.
I went back over towards Victory Lane because Kyle Busch was driving a Hendrick car and won the race that night. And over on the corner here is where all of your credentials are, where you're allowed to go. Well, if you hold it like this, nobody can see where you are or aren't supposed to go. And there was a gentleman that was occupying the gate that was Victory Lane, and there's the car, and there's Kyle Busch, and there's all the people from the Hendrick organization and everything that was in there. And the guy, I came running up and like, "I got it. Can I get through here?" I held up my pass, covered up everything important. I gotta get in there. "I need your pass." I said, "It's right here, sir. They're leaving. I need to go talk to those guys right there." "Well, who are you?" I work for the organization. I am here representing ARCA. I just really need to. And he goes, I did. Walked right into Victory Lane.
It's like you owned the place.
It was cool. By then, everybody had left. Kyle was done with his interview obligations and stuff, but it was still cool, to be able to say that I got in there.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna have a lot more fun on the road now. I know you like to do stuff like that.
What's that?
I said we're gonna have a lot more fun on the road now. I know you like to do stuff.
Stakes
like
are too high. I don't have the heart for it anymore.
We're good. We're good. Got to look at the big picture.
I can do that stuff at racetracks, so I can find a way home. When you do that stuff at an airport, it's not the same.
I still want to put a Crash Course sticker on an airplane.
I do not want that.
Just as we're walking in, we'll just slap it on the fuselage and away we go. They wouldn't even notice it until they close the door.
If you do it.
Yep.
If you do it.
Yep.
I don't know you.
Okay. Oh, goodness.
I don't even have a Crash Course sticker on my car,
True.
let alone a Southwest plane.
Do you want me to spray paint it on there for you?
No.
Are you sure?
No. I'm going to wait. How's your spray paint work?
Amazing.
I've seen your spray paint work.
Amazing.
You're not, you, sir. I know Jason Sauer, and you, sir, know Jason Sauer.
That's for sure. No doubt there.
All right. We put an extra 15 minutes on this one. Should we call it good?
Yeah, we just shoot the breeze.
It was a fun time talking. Enjoy it. Rob Oswalt just checked in. There was Ron McClung, David Pearson, 200 miles an hour and smoking a cigarette. Kind of cool. That's that is. And then Dylan Goodwin's been in the chat all night long. Hopefully everybody had a good week, and we will see you back here next Monday. The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby apparel, and Derby Inc. magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.